what are some the biggest personal challenges that you've had to navigate through as an independent filmmaker?
I mean, it's tough because I think there's certainly a lot of challenges. I think maybe the biggest one is as as a filmmaker, especially doing it at the level that I'm doing at at the scale and scope that I'm doing it at, it is you have to be really dedicated to the work. You have to really, really love it. Because it's really hard all of the time. And I don't mean that as like a deterrent. I think like that was something that another a film critic I admire talked about early on, or wrote a piece about when I was early on in my career, is that you really have to love because it is it's so daunting. Mike Birbiglia does an incredible bit about delusion that I used to listen to a lot when I was really young and has really stuck with me over the years. And he talks about like the idea of when you're starting out as a comedian for his purposes, you're getting up there and you're just like sucking all the time. Like every time you get up there, you just suck, and you have to keep telling yourself it's going relatively well. Because if you didn't tell yourself that, then you wouldn't keep doing it. And I think so much of like having a career in the arts and having a career where it's a long shot that you'll get to do the things you dream of, in general, really is based in telling yourself, oh, it's actually going really well. It's going pretty well, and I think within that too, I think something that's so critical is setting reasonable goals for yourself. And I think that sounds like I'm saying don't dream big, but I think big dreams are made up of tiny steps. You're always, and the goal, Rome wasn't built in a day, so to speak, and you really have to like take tiny steps. You have to, one each day, like for writing, they always tell you to write every day. I don't write every day, but the goal in saying that is to make sure you're prioritizing your writing, make sure you're prioritizing the thing that you say is important to you. And so I think when you're starting out and so much of what you're doing is based in just trying to get a little bit of momentum going so you can make the next short film next weekend with your friends or whatever, it is really based on just taking small steps towards that goal, asking yourself, what is the one thing I can do today that will make me better for tomorrow? Um, and I think that was something that took me a really long time to learn. I think that's really it can be a really hard thing to learn, and it can be really hard to not feel discouraged because the movie that made me want to make movies, The Dark Knight, is like this huge like Michael Mann-esque epic of it's like a morality play and all these kinds of things. And I remember being young and being like, I want to make that. And then I tried to make that and I was like, why didn't I make that? Why is it so hard? And like, you have to you have to work your way up to things, and you have to be okay with sucking and failing and being willing to look at that failure and say, why didn't it work? And then figure out how to like not only improve on that, but improve on it in a way that prioritizes the thing that you are most interested in.